Good morning, people. It's early. It's Saturday. Got my Macintosh computer Are You Keeping Up mug from Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Thank you, Dave. So, getting a little tired of working on the adventure game. And good morning to Trina and Dave and Garth and Big Bad Bench. How y'all doing? Anyway, so I've been busting a gut working on adventure, trying to make sure I'm ready for VCF. And I think I've got all the bugs worked out. I am making another pass at testing the game to make sure things are working properly. And think it's coming together. I had a couple of people that did some beta testing or alpha testing or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, testing. And they did find a few things. So that's good. Made a couple of good suggestions too. Like the credits run very long because there's a lot of credits and there's a lot of music. And somebody's like, that's a long time to shut down, and it runs every time. So I'm like, okay, I added a button so that you could actually just quit right now or exit now, so that you could avoid having to sit there for a minute and a half listening to the music and the credits. I also did an audio cue, so if you're, it has the entry music. You don't have to wait for the music to finish. You could go ahead and start playing the game while the startup music is playing. And then any of the dialogue that's recorded will play in a queue. So it'll catch up with you, in other words, instead of it just being cut off. So not sure how well that's going to work out, but there's still a lot of work to do for the audio dialogue, and I thank everybody that sent me their audio. But there's still some more to do, and August 13th, I think, is a Wednesday, is kind of the deadline for that, so that I've got time to get it integrated in. Off to wash dishes while you watch and listen. Okay. Multitasking. Hey, Gut Bomb. Oh, donuts for breakfast. That sounds excellent. So, I'm just drinking coffee with plenty of cream and fake sugar. I love coffee. So, yes, I am grumpy this morning, which is every morning. Although it is Saturday instead of a weekday, so there is that. Anyway, on to the main event. So, FrodoJedi, a fine gentleman, sent me an Apple IIc. And it's been sitting, waiting for me to spend some time on it. I did order from Javier, another fine gentleman, his little power adapter that goes on there so that the thing will start up, because it didn't have a power supply. I haven't tried that yet either, so we're going to try those. Frank also included a FujiNet. I have no idea how to use it, how to plug it in or anything. I haven't done any research on it, so we're probably going to skip that today. I do have some discs for my Apple IIe. Again, I'm making an assumption here. I don't know if they'll work in this or not. I don't know if the floppy drive is any good. So there'll be a lot to discover. Hmm. Coffee. So, I also, fortunately, I read up enough. I didn't realize that the 15-pin port on the back of the Apple IIc is not a video port. It's actually a device port or something where you hook up um, a peripheral box and then you can do video from it or something like that. Anyway, I don't know if there's an adapter cable doodle thing for it. Um, I think there's some kind of an add-on that you can get to deal with it. I'll have to look into that. So I busted out my little tiny Sony Trinitron. Um, that monitor is great, except that the AC power system on it failed, but it still works on 12 volt. So they'll work. The Apple IIc is reliable. Okay. Well, we'll find out. Sorry, I'm still drinking coffee. So, all right. Let's go over a couple of other things I'm working on. So, uh, another gift was this laptop. Not the stickers. That was my doing. It is a PowerBook G3 Wall Street that Garth Beagle gave to me. And I've been using it to do most of my development work. I also have a Power Macintosh G3 desktop that I use. Between the two of them, I've got my portable development as well as that. It's been a great workhorse. It does a good job. I'm running OS 8.6 on it. And it started cutting out with the power. And I guess it's a common occurrence that the power jack in the back tends to break free from the PCB. So opened it up. Now I scale my laptop experience based on an iBook, which is probably if you're talking about difficulty and messing around with and screw management, is 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. Real pain in the what to work on. So this was surprisingly easy to deal with. There's only one captured screw for the hard drive, but it works. So I did a little repair job on it. I noticed that there's a metal bracket that holds it down that's soldered to the board, and one half of it is broken away. So there was just enough of the PCB metal, layer that was a ground layer that was exposed. I was able to kind of spot weld it with solder. I might go back in here, or I'll just wait for it to break again. Go back in here, either replace the jack entirely, or I might just put a blob of JB Weld underneath it to hold it in place. A little epoxy should help. But anyway, it's back up and running. This one I went ahead and put 9.2 on because I had the CD, and it'll give me another machine that I can work with. So it's always good if you're doing actual work, like the game I'm working on, to have multiple machines that you can do your development on. I also have a NAS that runs the Apple Share stuff, so I'm able to back everything up to a network, over the network to a NAS. So that's nice. Anyway, so that's one thing I'm working on. The other thing is, and I'm not going to try to drag it over here because it's open in pieces. I've got a PS2 model 40SX that it was the precursor to the ThinkPads. Really nice laptop. It's got a really good keyboard on it. It's one of the smaller keyboards that IBM did. That's like a full key complement on it. Comes with a number pad and a funky mouse that's both a trackball in one direction and then a 2-button mouse in the other. Anyway, it or desktop mouse. They all have caps, and the caps are dead on the mice and the keypad that comes with it. So I went ahead and figured out what all the cap values were and everything, and I'll be recapping both the logic board, motherboard on the PS2 as well as those devices. We'll see if I can do that. They're through. They're surface mount components on the mouse and the keypad, but they're through components on the logic board, and I guess the ground plane's pretty heavy on that board, so it's going to be fun desoldering and resoldering those. What else have I got? Oh yeah, my Toshiba T9010 anyway, laptop stopped working, and it turned out to be the power supply, so I'm recapping that too. That one's another one of those bricks where you can either use an X-Acto knife or a box cutter to trim around the edge of it and to get the shell apart, or you can use percussive maintenance. So I just dropped it on the ground a few times, and that helped open it up a little bit. There are some clips on the sides that you can if you know where they're at, you can open it up. I was able to figure it out and get it apart with only breaking one of the little catches that go along the one end of the board, so it's gonna look okay when it goes back together. Tested the laptop with a bench power supply, and it worked fine. So it's got to be the caps on that power supply. So I made a DigiKey order that actually felt like I wasn't that cost more. The components cost more than the shipping this time, which was nice. So let's get this thing going. So Frank included a nice case with it. It's missing the strap, but I think I can find a strap that'll fit. I've got a lot of laptop bags around here, and these look like a standard connector. So let's get this open. So we've got our FujiNet. And Javier's adapter doodle. Interesting note, it's a USB-C, but it takes a 15 volt adapter, so you want to make sure you don't accidentally take this 15 volt adapter USB-C and leave it sitting around somewhere and use it on a 5 volt, because you don't want to do that. That would be bad. So I'll probably stick a label on it that says 15 volt on the outside, just to make sure that I don't accidentally use it. But here's the 2C. And it's pretty clean. So I have high hopes that it'll work out, and I like retro writing, so I'll probably retro write the case. You can see a distinct difference. I don't know if this was supposed to be this kind of beige and the handle is white, or if it was supposed to be white. I suspect it's supposed to be white. Anyway, we're going to open it up and take a look inside, just to see what kind of shape it's in. So, get my bench and I have to apologize. My spare iPhone 8 camera died finally. So and I just upgraded my phone, so my desk cam is now my iPhone 12, and I'm using a crappy video cam as a bench cam, so I apologize. It's gonna look crappy, and it's on a weird mount on an angle, so be it. Okay. And it's at a weird angle. So let me get my mic adjusted here. Okay. Move the PC over. Alright, we should be okay. So, got my discs. Set those aside. Oh yeah, and my solder pult died. So I bought this cheap one from Amazon. And the only reason why I bought the cheap one is because it came with some solder wick. So, and this solder wick stinks when you use it. I don't know what kind of coating they got on it. Probably some toxic plastic. Anyway, so I haven't looked up how to open this sucker up, but I'm going to assume you start with the screws on the bottom. Probably here, here, here. You know, should I look up the iFixit really quick on this? I think I will look it up quickly. Just a moment, please. Oh man, the teardown is a video. Ah, I found it. Okay, so it looks like there's 4, 5, 6 screws you have to open. Oh, this is missing the, there were feet that went on the bottom of it? I didn't realize that. It was a knockoff solder pult. It wasn't an actual solder pult. But it had, everything was almost the same about it, so it was a knockoff copy. Part of it broke on the inside, and then I think I went to an event. It was a local event, and they had a soldering bench set up for people to build blue scuzzies. And one of the things is we really encourage kids to, you know, try things and do stuff. And there was this one kid who basically what he did was he soldered over on a dead board, just added solder to all the solder joints on the board. And so he might have been messing around with it or something, or it just gave up the ghost. Which is more likely actually. So, but you know, the reason why I bring up the kid is that it's really important to allow kids, if we want them to be in the hobby, to allow them to experiment and mess around with things. And it's messy. And, you know, he used up some of my solder and, you know, whatever. It's all good. So, you know, I saw him over there doing what he was doing. And I'm like, you know, just leave him alone and let him do what he's doing. So, so anybody who's got kids out there would understand. And if you don't have kids and you're at one of these events and somebody's doing something, you know, it's not necessarily destructive or wasteful, but if it's annoying to you, offer to help them. You know, maybe they'll listen to you and do stuff, or not, and just let them, you know, explore and experiment. You know, if they spill a gallon of milk on the floor, don't yell at them. Help them clean it up, and, you know, talk about fluid dynamics or something. So, so these feet don't have anything underneath them, so I don't have to worry about that. So let's get these screws. And I'm sorry if my video angle may not allow you to see everything here. It's one of the limitations of this camera that I'm using and how it's mounted. So I'm going to have to figure out another way. Oh, Garth advice. To open, you basically take out the screws on the bottom outside. The 4 in the middle of the bottom of the case hold the floppy. That's kind of what I thought. Then it unsnaps from back front, which can be a bit of a trick. Do you mean back from the back to the front? Or do you just mean it's held in the back and the front? I got to do these too. Man, my arthritis. Here's the grumpy old man talk. So I will do it without swearing, but my hands are just killing me this morning, and I'm considering asking Santa for a electric screwdriver. I've seen Action Retro use one. I don't know if it's got enough torque for this kind of stuff, though. I should reach out to Sean and ask him, but having something that would help with that would be good. This was my solution for the Mac cracker. So, you know, I shrink wrapped some stuff together just to be able to work, and then there's this material that you can buy. It's called Coban. And, you know, if you've ever had blood drawn or something like that, you've seen this. They use it to put around your arm to hold the, you know, the cotton ball on when they draw blood, or for various things. But it makes it's not sticky, but it sticks to itself. It's some kind of, you know, when you stretch it, it exposes a tacky layer. So it makes my occupational therapist told me, you know, if you're going to use a pen, wrap some of the stuff around it. It'll help because it makes it larger so that you're not trying to use a small thing to grip it. And she said it also pads it a little bit so that you don't feel like you have to grip it tightly. And this does help. I can still twirl. Here's the thing. My range of motion is fine. You know, all of my digits, I have the dexterity I need and everything. It just hurts like a son of a bitch. Sorry, there's the swearing. And that's what you get to look forward to, is having those kinds of issues. Anyway, so there's ways to mitigate it, you know. Okay, so those screws are out. Okay, so there must be a clip right here in the front. Ow. Let me get my iFixit. Well, it's not an iFixit kit, it's a cheap knockoff. Where is that? Ah, where did I put my tools? Damn it. Oh, underneath the discs. Actually, I got a different one. Man, you weren't kidding. This is fiddly. Any advice? Nope, you don't take them apart very much. Well, it's obvious that there's a catch right here. Can't seem to figure out how to release it. So annoying. Ooh, look at that dirt. Let's see if iFixit has anything to say. Release the catch by pushing it in using a plastic opening tool. The catch is off center, but in line with the middle of the speaker underneath. Okay. So you can't just kind of squeeze it apart. The speaker's here. Maybe I need a thinner tool. Yeah, I think I need a thinner tool. Just a second. Aha! It's one of these doohickeys. Yeah, that'd be easily torn off. Alright, so I got that. Where's the catch in the back? Okay, so you don't release the catch in the back, you just kind of peel it off from here. There we go. Ah! Eureka! Ta-da! And there goes the handle. Now honestly, would anybody really carry one of these around using this handle? Well, we got some cruftiness over here. Oh yeah, I don't think we want to power this sucker up. there is a mass of oil. Oh, I guess that's not. Nope, I thought that was leaking. I bet you this power supply needs to be recapped. Hey, Billgoats. Yeah, I'll watch a video, but it did seem to lift off the back. It doesn't look like it broke anything, so that's good. Oh, they have a, looks like they have a metal bar that attaches to the hinge or handle. I don't know if you guys can see that very well in that camera view, but I mean, I don't see any obvious pools of corrosion from the caps. I think it's worth a try to start it up, but it is kind of yucky on the keyboard here, so that's definitely going to need a clean. You got stuff spilled in it. Okay. So we'll give it a try. What do you guys think? I think Javier has an LCD screen. Excuse me, I'm going to grab my coffee. I'm pretty sure, I know he's made clones of it, but I bet you he's got an original LCD screen. So it would be nice to have that. I mean, it gets you closer to the prototype model that they designed for it. So we'll give it a try. Oh, coffee. Coffee's getting cold though. Dave, I love this mug. Thank you. But my normal mugs are like really thick, so they keep the coffee hot, and they narrow a bit at the top. But this is good, and thank you. Anything Macintosh themed is okay with me. All right, so let's see if I can get power to. I'm going to set this aside, but yeah, this kind of concerns me. That crud. Okay, so I need my power adapter. I think this, yeah, it's 12 volts. So this is what passes for a bench power supply for me. I think I bought this from Adafruit. Works well enough. So we'll set it to 12. I'll have to pick up the monitor so you guys can see the output. Oh, this might not work at all now. Nope, and it's starting to smell. Shoot, there goes my analog. I do have another monitor, but it's like going to be a... Whoa, that stinks. Okay, I think this Trinitron finally bit the dust. So much for that. I've got a monochrome monitor I can use. I just have to dig it out. Okay. And we've got Javier's adapter doodle. Nice bright display on there. Okay, it's turned off. Well, that's kind of a tight fit for that jack. There it goes. It's a little snug. Make sure this monitor works. Yeah, when I go camping, I go glamping. So I've got, I'm at a campsite that's got 110. So. All right. Well, okay, the drive was, yep, check disk drive, Apple IIC. So I'm going to lift this up so you guys can see it, hopefully. And of course I can't, everything's delayed, so I can't tell whether you can see the screen or not. So I'm waiting for YouTube to catch up. You can sort of see it. Anyway, so it does boot, or at least power on. Let's see whether or not it'll read a disk. I don't even know if this disc is any good. Okay, do you manually flip up this? I don't know how to use this drive. I don't want to break anything. I'm not sure how to open up the floppy drive. My ignorance of the Apple IIc is, well, I've learned everything today, so. Oh, you just push in. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, great. That's neat. I'm glad I didn't reef on it to try to open it. And then push down. Oh, I like that mechanism. Okay, so I assume to get it to go, I'll just power it off and back on. Oh, wait a minute, I got a prompt. What do you do to get it to read the disk? PR number something? I know more than Dave does about it. Oh, we're in trouble. Need to power it off for a little bit. Oh, okay. You can't just flip the switch, huh? I've declared Garth our resident expert on this. Okay, I got gobbledygook on the screen, but there is a prompt. I don't know what I'm doing. I do have a copy of the owner's manual open, so maybe I could look at that. Where's page 1? Control open Apple reset to reset it as well. Okay, so it's not just the reset button. Control open Apple reset. Oh, which one's open? Where's the cover? What did I do with the cover? Oh. Oh, those are keyboard switches. Oh, okay. Control open Apple reset. That's this one. Control reset. Okay, that worked. All right, I'm getting the prompt. And some garbage on the screen. Okay. Scrolling through the index. Okay, I'm at the how it works. Let's try a different disk. Okay, I've got a ProDOS disk. Try turning it off. Oh, it should auto boot the floppy. Okay. Okay, I hear it spinning the drive. Okay, I think there might be some issues with this. I'm getting garbage on the screen. And it's not booting. Yeah, it made the usual, like the seek sound the first time I booted it up, but now it's not doing it. I'm going to turn it off for a bit. And we're going to remove the disk. And we'll try again and see what happens. Yeah, I know. Trying to do this with remotely through some idiot. I'm not talking about you, Garth. I'm talking about me. Some idiot who doesn't know what he's doing, and you're having to 15-second delay in everything you say is annoying. So I'll have to do some reading on this and research because I know absolutely nothing about this machine. Okay, you can hear the motor spin, but it's not doing the seek now. Yeah, we might have some issues. Put this disc back in and see what happens. Well, this is what I get on the screen. I don't know if you guys can see that at all, but garbage, garbage, garbage prompt at the bottom. Reset gives me a new prompt. Yeah. I think we might have some issues. Yay, it'll be another project. Yeah, it does look like it's just mapped garbage from the memory. Okay. Well, it's not dead. It just doesn't work. So I'll disassemble it. I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to disassemble it. You know, I'll clean things up, check the caps because, you know, the power supply seems to be working, but, you know, whatever. I don't know if the logic board on these things have caps on them that need to be replaced or not, but it'll be another adventure that I can spend time on. Not today, though. So let's get this disc back out. Should it be left with the disc closed, drive closed, or does it matter? Anyway. Boy, that is really tight. Oh, I could see why people would just leave that in. So, all right. There we go. Let me switch cameras. Hey. Get my microphone back. So I can show you my lovely ducks. Okay, good people. So one of the things I would like to do is do some programming on the Apple IIc. I was thinking of like a mini adventure game. Keep the drive closed. Okay. Yes, I will be typing in that. I was going to do that today if it booted up. I was just going to type some basic programs in it, but apparently it's not feeling up to it today. So, but it definitely needs a clean up, and you know, maybe it is just replace the RAM or something like that. I'll find out when I get the keyboard off and stuff and see what's in there. Well, it took about an hour. So, what's going on? I'll be spending the rest of the weekend working on Adventure. It's coming along. Like I said before, what did I do with the box? It doesn't matter. Anyway, I bought these cute little ducks to go in the box, so they fit, which is nice. I was going to do the old, I had some little tiny poly plastic ducks, but I like these because they actually squeak. So I'll be working on Adventure, getting, what's on my to-do list for that? Go look and see what I've got here. To do. So finish the dialogue. I moved the introduction text for the game. When you start a new game, it displays an introduction to the game and you know, information about the game, that kind of thing. That I moved to a new card so that it shows that as a separate thing, and you can, you know, it only shows it the first time you start the game. If you restart or start a new game, if you go back in and it recovers where you were at and shows you the middle of the game where you were at, it doesn't redo the introduction. So that's a little more efficient. and then you get right into, you know, the first location in the game. So that was a recent change. I might recompile the Mini VMAC emulator I've got to be twice screen size, so that it's a little bigger. I mean, you could double the screen size yourself, but I can, you know, do it so it's always double screen size. Not sure I'll do that or not. I need to build more boxes because I don't have them all built yet. I got to burn CDs, but of course I'm going to wait until I'm done to do that. I need to figure out, I'm not going to have an installer. You'll just copy the folder from the CD onto your PowerPC Mac and run it from there. It'll have the installer for HyperCard, so that if you need to install that, you can. But it doesn't really need an installer per se, but I would like to learn how to build an installer for a 68K environment. So I might do that for a future release, not for September. The same thing for the Windows and the Linux emulation. You just copy the folder over to your computer and run it. So everything's contained. I need to finish the game manual and the editor manual because, of course, I made changes to things, and then I had to resize the manual so that it would fit into my final box size. So I've got to do that. I have to print the manuals. I'm going to shrink wrap the boxes. And then I've been looking into game publishing and things that you can do for that, because this is only the first of many games. And I'm interested in learning Godot and doing some modern game development. I've got some ideas for that I want to do. So that's a long-term goal, more of a retirement goal. But I do want to, I'd really like to get to a point where I could do an indie self-published game. And there's a bunch of stuff that you do for publishing games. Some indie developers, and of course you've got to prove yourself, and you know, if you're an indie house versus, you know, where you've got multiple developers or something like that, you can, the industry is going towards venture capital or investors that will invest in your game house to develop something and not necessarily provide you with production support and all the other things that go with it. It's less risk for the investors to do it that way. But you've got to have it's a catch-22. You have to have already done it to attract any investors for that kind of thing. I'm not necessarily looking to do that. I'm just, you know, researching on it because I'd like to figure out what I can adopt for game development and what's going to make sense. So publishing usually involves development support, like, you know, paying your developers to work on something for several years. External production, so whether or not, you know, maybe you need a graphic designer or something like that, then a publisher might help you with that. You know, like I'm not very good at graphics at all. Platform deals. You know, a publishing house might help you with finding deals with different platforms and help with converting to those platforms. Handling age ratings and submissions for that, because it does cost money and it takes time and effort to be able to get a true rating for your game. The marketing research, event presence. You know, I'm going to VCF Midwest, and that'll be my public event presence for my game, but you know, there's plenty of places around the US and internationally for that kind of thing. So social media and community management, analytics, so what kind of people are doing what with your game, downloading and looking at your demos and things like that. You can get analytics on the type of person, what region they're in. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do with the internet for analyzing where, you know, who's looking at your pages and that kind of thing. Sales, obviously, award submissions. So there's a lot of game award events and things like that. A publisher might help you with submitting for awards. Quality assurance, the worst quality assurance person that you have is the developer themselves. And I've learned this over years of experience, that people that write software do not think like users. They think they do, and they can simulate a user, but users are always, hi Steve, users are always figuring out illogical or even alternative logical ways of using your software that you never anticipate using. The worst, it's like having a lawyer who has a client, has themselves for a client, is a bad lawyer. A developer that has themselves as a tester and only themselves as a tester is a bad developer. So, or a bad tester. Both. I don't know. Doesn't mean you don't do it yourself. Yeah, Garth hates users. Yes, if all the users would just go away, everything would be fine. Nobody's going to buy your game, right? So quality assurance testing and stuff. Console ports. I think I talked about that already with platform deals. Localization. I'm not Quebecois, so my French is un peu, very, very tiny. I think I just went through all of my French. So, you could have friends that could help with translation and stuff like that, but if you really are trying to target an international market, you need to do things that avoid cultural, thumbs up doesn't mean the same thing in every culture. So you have to be careful about things like that, or at least aware of it so that you know what you're doing. Marketing, obviously, press releases, and focus testing, setting up focus groups and things like that. Well, a publisher can help you with all that. It's expensive. It's time consuming. If your development team needs to be focused on development, then you need somebody that handles those things. Obviously, I'm just getting started in doing this as an independent, and my motivation for doing it has more to do with just I like building things, and I want to build the kind of games that I would have if I had had the time 30 years ago. So, there's not a big market for hypercard stack games. There just isn't. Doesn't mean that I can't have fun doing it, and that's why I'm doing it. And I want to look at the entire experience. I want to look at, I made boxes, right? I had to figure out how to do that. When I was doing a past video where I was showing how I made the boxes, I forget who it was, but one of the followers on the stream was like, oh my God, there's easier ways to do it. I should do my own video on how to make boxes. And there are, for every kind of box, there's a dozen ways of how to make one. I picked one that I felt was going to give me the kind of box that I wanted to have. Wasn't the easiest way to do it. And I didn't really try some of the other ways, and I'm sure there are better ways to do it that would be less work and more efficient. So, but there you are. I picked a way, and that's what I'm going to do for this release. That doesn't mean I can't learn other ways. I love users. They make me money. So someone's printing you money, Trina? Is that what you're saying? You can get in trouble for that. Anyway, so all of the stuff that goes into building and selling software, whether it's games or whatever, there's a lot to it, and it's something I've always wanted to do. I never put the time into. And, if I get ones of users or tens of users, even one person using something I develop is kind of cool. No comment. Yeah. Well, it's all play money in Canada anyway. I mean, you use different colors for the different denominations. What's up with that? And it feels like plastic. I know it's better than U.S. currency. You know, especially when people take dollar bills and wash them and then reprint them as hundreds. Um, and they do it old enough so that it doesn't have the security band in it, and they try to pass that off. Not that I know anything about, you know, doing that. So there's a whole ecosystem and everything for software development. I believe Garth Beagle used to do his own software development back in the day and sell educational software, I think it was, wasn't it? So you've got an idea of what it's like to do that. You can't just, unfortunately, you can't just throw your website out there and expect people to find it. SEO with search engines. Don't get me started. I used to work for a consulting company that got into web development and the whole SEO thing, and it was a nightmare. So, anyway, but I'm interested. Whether I'm successful or at it is beside the point. Fortunately, I've got low expectations of myself. Steve, I work with a lot of engineers by proxy. I feel your pain. Yeah, you know, to be fair, software is meant for users. And even though user is a four-letter word, if you're not satisfying their need as an engineer, then it's not the user's failure. I'm not saying that it's not a two-way street, because obviously it is. But I'd say, put it this way, I've been using my, I used, you know, what are some of the old ones? I used VisiCalc when it first, was available. I used, I used MacWrite when it came out. And I thought, oh, a GUI interface. I can actually see what's going to show up on the paper. That was cool. I used WordStar and WordPerfect and all that stuff. There are very few features in Microsoft Word that weren't already there in the first version that you use today. So every time they turn around and come out with a new version of Word, what's the intent? The intent is to sell Word. It's not to necessarily help users. 99% of the stuff that you use day to day was there in 2000, 25 years ago. So you can use an old version of Word. It does 99% of what you want. I'm not saying that they don't do enhancements to user interfaces and they don't do things that are helpful. In Macintosh Word, the early versions for the 68K environment, when you hover over a button with a mouse, it doesn't tell you what that button does. It doesn't have pop-up text or things for it. Now, maybe you can turn on the balloon help or something like that, and it does. I haven't tried it. But there's expectations. Spell check. Having squiggly lines underneath your text is helpful. And having it color-coded could be helpful for people that don't have color blindness. But, there are things in the user interface that they've advanced and that are helpful. The vast majority of the changes, though, are for the sake of marketing so that they can sell yet again another version of it. Going to the cloud for everything drives me nuts. So, anyway, there's... Trina used Word before words existed. Ugh. Yeah. So, where was I going with all this? I don't know. I was just ranting. I like developing stuff. I like doing stuff that's fun. And, I started working on Adventure in... Yeah, Eric yells at Cloud. It's the Yell at Cloud segment. I started working on Adventure, at least conceptually, when I was fiddling around with the Mac or the Apple IIe with Pascal and was writing an adventure game there. I I think probably 30 years ago I tried doing my own in C, for DOS. 40 years ago, 35 years ago. Anyway, yeah, more like 40 years ago. I've been writing this program forever. The current HyperCard version of it and what I'm doing, I started 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So it's a labor of love, and it's something that I am actually starting to get tired of working on. I would really like to move on to something else. But I want to complete it, and there will be follow-on versions of it. I want to try to squeeze what I wrote into working on an actual 68K machine. Oh, the audio glitch was on Steve's end. Yeah, Steve, meant to talk to you about that. We need to do a intervention. You seem to be having some difficulty with your technology. And we're here to help. So we're going to come over and we're going to clean up your basement, because I think the problem has to do with you finding things. We're going to reduce everything in your basement to just a few items that you use, and we'll use, like, I don't know, maybe the last month of activity, and use that as a guide for what you should actually have in your basement. The rest of it, we'll find a nice home for it, and that'll clear up a lot of space, right? Who's with me? We need to do a road trip to Steve's. You yelled at the app. Yes, that's the way to do it. Allison says yes, but I say no. Yeah. And you can see from the piles of stuff around me that I'm not doing very well myself. I cleaned all this up like 4 months ago, and now it's a mess again. So, anyway, enough of my Saturday morning crufty old man ranting. So, I'll see you guys on the next stream. Thanks for coming out. Hit the like button or the dislike button. Hit them multiple times. Just make sure it's an odd number. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe. I'm slowly inching my way up to 1,000 subscribers. I think I'm at like 580 or something like that. So, tell your friends, tell your enemies. Anyway, coffee, and coffee mugs. I've got stuff at Threadless if anybody's interested. I actually downloaded some of my own wares. I'm going to be showing them off at VCF. If you want to support the channel, please do. If you don't want to support the channel, that's fine too. I'm not trying to make a living off of it. It just, most of that money turns around and goes right back out to other YouTubers. So I do want to thank everybody that's contributed towards the game. It's really helped me get the materials that I need so that I can produce those box sets and everything. So, all right, long goodbye. See you guys next time. Here comes the outro.